Welcome to Sad Boys, a podcast about feelings and other things also. I'm Jarvis.
I'm Jordan.
All right, so today we'll be chatting. The main topic, we're going to talk about Gen Z finally realizing that they can be cringe.
They're in trouble.
Welcome. It comes for all of us at some point.
It's too late.
Also, my obsession with reality shows. And did Gavin Newsom really say that? Did he just insult black people? The spoiler alert. We found the context, but we still have a lot more to say about that guy.
Then it's very embarrassing still.
I'm going to read you some of the transcript of an episode of This American Life from August 16th, 2019.
Okay.
Ira Glass. I think probably every 2 years I read an article about some scientist who thinks there might be a way, building off chicken DNA or whatever, to figure out the DNA of dinosaurs and bring one to life. I feel like I run into these stories all the time. There were those scientists a couple years ago who were talking about how you could take Neanderthal DNA and use it to create new Neanderthals. Or this is, I think, the realest one going. I think this is an actual thing. There's a team led by Is This American Life doing like I heard about an article one time. I think this is an actual thing. There's a team led by a Harvard scientist trying to bring back the woolly mammoth. That's right, the woolly mammoth, and have herds of them tromping through the Siberian tundra. That's the actual plan. And I can just say, I know you scientists have your reasons, but whenever I read this stuff, I think, did you guys not see Jurassic Park? Have you learned nothing from the movies? Is this type 5?
Is this fucking show? When I think of This American Life, I associate it with like, we've collected a set of small stories talking about a particular theme. And instead it's like this guy drunkenly riffing. Like, hey, so, if there was a friggin' alien here, take me to your dealer. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to skip a little bit ahead because it goes about like movies, nuclear bombs, Jeff Goldblum in, and then Frankenstein.
He's just rattling off about it. It's not.
Thank you, Jeff Goldblum. Dr. Frankenstein collects the body parts of dead people, sews them together on a lab table, jolts them with some electricity. It's not just the movies, by the way. Of course, we all know discoveries in subatomic physics labs. I mean, like, it just like...
What the fuck are you talking about?
Go with me. You will never guess where this is going.
Bro is cooking nothing.
Cylons return to Caprica to kill all the humans who invented them. Okay, That one's not real, but my point is the same. Unintended consequences. This is like a trying to hit the word count. They happen when the experiment leaves the lab. And today on our show, we have three telling examples from three very different kinds of labs. One of them is a laboratory of human feelings, but still, from WBZ Chicago, it's This American Life. I'm Ira Glass. Stay with us.
I see why he reminds you that at the end, because I also forgot who he was and what that was.
And here's where he was going with this. Okay, so we begin this experiment gone wrong. Like I said, this is not a traditional experiment, not a traditional laboratory, but a laboratory of human emotion. One very familiar to lots of people. I'm talking about the reality TV show The Bachelor.
No.
Ira Goss, what are you cooking?
Dude, so much time has passed since this like running position that every dating show also needs like some kind of profound scientific element.
And they are talking about other stuff outside of dating shows, but nothing can justify that preamble. That prologue.
Is obscene. That like he gave him 5 paragraphs and then opened with like the story of Cocomelon follows a small child.
Before we talk about Cocomelon, we must talk about Plato's allegory of the cave. I brought this up because we were watching The Traitors, and Colton Underwood from The Bachelor is on The Traitors, and I made a video about Colton's season of The Bachelor back in 2018 or whatever. And Colton is a villain in all senses of the word. He's like weird on his season of The Bachelor. But then after his season of The Bachelor, he like had a restraining order granted against him by Cassie, the winner of the show, because he refused to like leave her alone. And allegedly, like, it gets incredibly dark. So trigger warning for like abusive, and I actually don't know what the proper trigger would be, but it's like stalking and that type of thing. Abusive man behaviors of stalking a woman. So he allegedly, and I say alleged, but like there's a lot of credible evidence here. He put a tracking device allegedly on Cassie's car.
Like an AirTag? Like that kind of...
I don't think it's ever come out what it was, but my assumption was AirTag type thing. And then he texted her from like a burner phone impersonating someone else or harassing her with like text from like a burner. But before all of that came out, The Bachelor this time around is Colton Underwood. He's 26, tall, sandy hair, handsome, a former football player. And as the show has mentioned a million times, he's a virgin. I forgot about that. Yeah, he's the virgin bachelor.
I like the idea of listening back like to the episode, getting the family around and being like, guys, I was on This American Life. Let's give it a listen. And it opens with them like, he's a virgin, he doesn't get laid, he's got nice hair, I guess, but the hell, Ira?
Yeah.
Do they talk to him? They talk to
No.
Commiserating Colton?
I don't think they talk to Commiserating Colton. By the way, Webster's Dictionary defines commiserate.
Commiserating. Shout out to anybody watching. Traders, fun show, awful game. Legitimately incompetently designed game, but if you get enough incompetent people, it kind of, there's like a beautiful
I'm
alchemy,
like
you know?
somewhat sympathetic to the game, but
The Neil Strauss book?
at many points it feels like Coughing Baby versus Atomic Bomb. Because like there are people who like play these sorts of hidden identity games and stuff, or play like they're former Survivor contestants, Big Brother type people. And then there's like Olympic figure skaters who like I'm frustrated on their behalf because I feel like they're going through some sort of psychological torture.
Yeah. They have a different craft and it's very admirable.
That they're incredibly talented at.
But it's not playing werewolf.
No, that's the thing. I get the idea because it's like this like Super Smash Bros-esque like everyone's invited type, like everyone for the extended like NBC Universal universe.
But it's like if they didn't scale the character powers down and Ganondorf was just fighting real Luigi.
Right.
Just stomps
Ganondorf
on
was
him.
fighting Ganondorf was fighting like just a man who works at Whole Foods.
Oh, it sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
There was I would recommend the show to people in the
fun.
sense that it's like, it's compelling. It's a good group watch.
I was talking to Alexis about it last night. Like she's enjoying it as well, but
I'm also not really, I don't know. There's like reality TV is there's so much more diversity in like the styles of it now than like when that term was established and what we knew as reality TV and like the conventions of it. That now there's like a certain kind of reality show where the production is the thing I'm interested in and the stories that it presents. And then there's a lot more of the other kind of show, which is something I can't watch by myself because it doesn't, like Love is Blind it's a show I've enjoyed in the past, but I almost feel like I'm not absorbing it correctly unless I'm talking to someone around it. But Traitors, I think I would be going insane if I did not have other humans around being like, I'm going like, that's stupid, right? Like I'm not, because I love the idea of always referring to other people as like, well, you know, this is the group of housewives and those guys are the gamers. And they're just referring to anybody with like a 3-digit IQ.
It's like referring to anyone who thinks about the strategy of the game. But I do have some opinions on this because you found me at a very reality television point in my life. I obviously I've gone in and out of like the reality game. I used to make a lot of videos about reality shows, and I'm back on the wagon.
Get the hand in your blue chip in 1 month.
Historically, I'm not a Survivor guy. Historically, but I've seen a couple seasons here and there, and the last time I watched a season, it was when I was in my old place. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, this is really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I like kind of want to watch more of this. And then I just didn't because I got distracted by another shiny thing. And I have like tons of things on the back burner like that. Like I just watched like Succession for the first time because something distracted me when I was watching episode 1 last time, and then I never came back to it.
And you were saying like, these guys don't deserve their taxes to go up. They're working hard. They're like,
I was thinking about like how I wish that there were real patriots like those.
Yeah, billionaires that like turn people into biofuel and drink baby blood. And like, why is that not allowed now?
Why isn't that allowed? But I have been into Survivor lately, and I'm doing my research. Survivor 50 is kicking off today, but obviously people are. Today's Wednesday for us, and it'll be Friday when people are listening to this. But
fuck knows when it'll be for us then.
We
could be having sometimes my Friday's a Sunday a lot of the time. You know what I mean?
In preparation, I decided that I love appointment viewing television, and there's like, it's dwindling, you know?
Yeah. It's manual. Like you have to now make that
It feels like you're driving stick.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't like mainline it the way that you used to back in the day.
But like, well, we have to meet up because Lost is only on right now, as opposed to like, yeah, let's meet up and watch Lost.
And what was Lost, but inspired by Survivor. And like the pilot, like the initial conception of the show. But so Survivor was this runaway hit in the year 2000. And I went back and watched season 1 of Survivor, and we're talking about traders and gamers and stuff and the kind of disparate ability levels. Early Survivor, and I watched now a couple of the early seasons, and I'm jumping between, like, I watched season 49 and then I watched season 1. I watched season 2 and I watched season 48.
Such a cultural institute. Something I didn't understand about Survivor until I'd met people that were really into it.
Right.
Is that it's a cultural institution first and a show second. It's like church.
And I do think it's a game that respects itself. Like, I think that, like, obviously they fiddle with the formula and stuff like that, but the formula, the core framework of Survivor has basically been the same since season 1. And which
is insane.
I was so surprised by that because it's been 25 years and the fact that it can still work is crazy. But
we've had more iterations of this podcast.
Literally.
We've adjusted more.
So the thing that I respect the most about, or a thing that I like about, there's a lot of people, and I have no say in this because I'm more or less a new head, but there's always this like old head Survivor versus new head thing, 39 days versus the 26 days because they've made it shorter after COVID. Right. But in the earlier seasons of Survivor, in the new seasons of Survivor, everyone's a lifelong fan of Survivor. Yeah. They're super familiar with the institution. Whereas in the early days of Survivor, they were discovering the strategy from first principles. And there is a severe gulf between people who are strategizing and people who are just vibing.
Yeah.
Or who are just like they're just trying to play the survival game and forget about the outplay, outlast element of it all.
I can see a world where without the show already existing, a lot of people just being like, yeah, I can figure it out. Surviving on an island, I can fucking figure it out.
Early Survivor, people are like, it's boring that people want to make alliances.
That's not fair.
That's not like fair. Like, what do you mean? And
let me win.
And like literally there's a guy who like describes it as like a boring way to play the game when I think it's actually the interesting part of the game is the politics. But I think at that time it was so novel. Every aspect of it was novel. So,
I mean, I didn't like till I'd seen the show. I genuinely just thought it would fall into a bucket of like hyper overproduced reality TV stuff because it still has like some of the iconography, like some of the set design and some of the confessionals.
It's as a result of it more or less being the same kind of vibe for 25 years.
But they do
they do it.
Put them in a position where they can just die.
They do it.
Like,
and that kind of continually happens, by the way.
I can't believe it. Like, there's a really horrific show called I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
Oh, I've seen the American adaptation
I didn't even know they took a swing at that.
Oh, imagine the tier of celebrity that is on that show in America. And just like describe to me in the best terms that you can, like what type of celebrity would show up there.
I think it's someone that would be. It's a show that James Corden would be too good for.
Absolutely. It's a show that I believe there's only one American season, but I could be wrong. In the American season the one person I remember being on it for sure is the least famous Baldwin brother.
They have a bonus Baldwin?
Actually, I think it's Stephen Baldwin. I don't even think he's the least famous one. He might be. Wait,
the bottom.
Was it Haley Bieber's dad that was on
Stephen Baldwin is
that is Haley Bieber's dad, but I'm wondering if Stephen Baldwin was the one on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
It
seems like he would
him.
be.
Yes.
Wow, Haley Bieber's dad on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
Dude, and we thought it was only losers.
I'm sure we've all seen the video of Stephen Baldwin introducing his daughter Haley to Justin Bieber backstage at like a Justin Bieber concert or something like that, like 1,000 years ago. Well,
that's a weird vibe.
Last night, guess where I was? Laker game. Guess who was sitting front row Justin Bieber.
Oh.
I have a photo of the back of his head.
I wonder if I looked at only the back of his head. I wonder if I could tell. Honestly, he would be in my first 10 guesses. He's wearing a large hoodie with nothing but the hoodie visible, and his posture is iconic.
But anyway, Traitors reminds me of that era of Survivor in that there are people with completely disparate levels of skill, which creates a different type of strategy. But I like watching the newer seasons of Survivor because people are so cooked on, like locked in on the game, that there's like many levels of subterfuge.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, well, I mean, I've always felt like there's an uncanny valley, like a golf where meta isn't fun, where if people know nothing about it and it's just base principles and vibes, something's fun or interesting. Right. When people are so informed about something, then it's almost like you're having a learning experience by even seeing them. If you're watching the Olympics, you're like, wow, I just didn't even know people could move that fast. Then there's that middle point, the kind of minor league baseball stuff, where I'm like, which Traitors falls into, where there's a bunch of people gaming, but the gaming is like it's like a Resident Evil 4 escort mission or something. It's like you're accidentally shooting Ashley Graham. Like, oh, for fuck's sake, they got in the way again.
It is
Michael Clayton. What's his fucking name?
Rappaport.
The wigger, yeah. I'm not a traitor.
Yeah, my friend sent me this, and he was like, how is it to be in the same room as the Beebs? And I responded with a photo of the back of his head. So yeah, I'm watching reality TV. I just made a video about Love is Blind. Chris.
Is that out?
What a guy.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
You gonna publish it?
I'm thinking about it.
Nah, skip this one.
But today, we wanted to talk about a viral trend that really just impregnates me with a question.
Okay, close one.
Oh, what were you thinking?
I mean, no, it's okay. What was you said something about something?
I was just saying that I was like impregnated.
Oh my god.
With wonder.
Sorry, just give me an idea.
And with curiosity around.
Dude, pull up AO3.
No.
I have a story actually.
I'm gonna impregnate you.
Oh, come on.
With a sense of curiosity.
Brilliant. And that'll be the name of my firstborn. Senso Curiosity.
I am hyper aware of my generation because so many Gen Z people like listen to this show or watch my videos, and they're obsessed with the fact that millennials exist out in the world.
The war has been brought to us.
Yeah, it's like I didn't ask, but it's like, oh my god, the millennial Zoom. Oh my god, you're such a millennial. It's like, relax, okay?
Chill, man. I know.
It's like I've been here the whole time.
What do you think I thought I was? Now,
Gen Z is starting to age out of their cutesy era.
Yeah.
It is uncomfortably we're having to hold up the mirror and say we are all the same. You two are cringe.
I'm so sorry to let you know there's a bunch of generations and they have happened before and they keep happening, I guess.
They keep happening, and unfortunately what happened to us will happen to you. And
every generation has a pocket of cringe. The greatest generation, cringe.
And
they got the best name.
Yeah, fuck, that's not fair.
They chose a superlative name. They chose the best one.
They succeeded at giving themselves a nickname.
Yeah.
Yeah, Big Dick Stanley. Big Dick Stanley.
You've been trying to get us to call you that, right?
And it's working. Good. Okay. I do think that like making fun of another generation or like, I don't know, like recognizing nuances and calling them out is a little bit like how as a kid, you don't know how to really make a joke yet, but you'll repeat something from TV. Mm-hmm. And then that's a step in the right direction. Or like when you see toddlers kind of talking to each other with nonsense because they know what a conversation sounds like.
Right.
It's like, it's the first thing you get to be kind of snide about. And it's fun. It's like a little, because the power dynamic is it's punching upwards traditionally to people with probably more positions of comfort or something, right? Or people you at least see as like an elder generation. So you get to be like, hey, boomer.
Okay,
yes. Boomer. Though, tell you what, Gen X, they got fucking skipped. I think that for every boomer, millennial, and Gen Z, every 100 times one of them gets roasted by one of the others, Gen X maybe gets roasted once.
Yeah, I feel like you don't ever see people talking about Gen Xers.
Gen X was actually named by this writer, Douglas Copeland. He wrote a book called Generation X. That's why we have X,
Y,
Z,
G.
Alpha.
Yeah.
That's how it started.
I don't know why.
The book is really...
There is millennials are Generation Y, right?
Yeah, we're Y.
Yeah.
So we're both.
Well, because they named us Generation Y, and then...
And we said more like Generation Y.
Yeah. What the hell? We said. I didn't
More
say
like
hell.
Generation what the heckers.
Yeah, we'd be like, big chunkus says, you know? Cheeseburger, remember?
I can has.
Generation Small B.
Remember that?
By the way, you saying cheeseburger, me saying I can has.
Right.
Shoot me red dot on my forehead,
Yeah.
please.
We
end
shouldn't
it.
have been aligned on it. It's a terrible shame.
I can has.
Please don't find my old Newgrounds account where I would talk like that, unironically.
We should get into these. This creator
Chiani. Caroline Chiani?
Whoa.
EXO
Or
yeah.
Cianci.
Yeah.
Or Car O'Linetian.
Oh, we could go see her live in LA March 10th.
So this is a comedian. So I want to call that out because anytime a woman's being funny online, people
doesn't get it.
love to forget that women have humor.
Capture impact font at the top saying, "This is a joke and I'm aware of it." First
And
comment reply
Quote
from
tweeting like, "What a dumb lady."
at My Hero Academia fan number 5. Women shouldn't be allowed to hold a phone.
she's roasting y'all ass.
Do we know?
Sis.
I'm assuming she's Gen Z.
Yeah.
It seems
I believe so.
finger on the pulse.
Which is, I think, important. It has to come from inside the house. The
Yeah,
call.
that's true.
Yeah.
Because it's usually more insightful.
It is.
Right.
The
what you
joke is like never what we're gonna guess.
POV that Gen Z girl with no personality meets another Gen Z girl with no personality.
And I was like, oh, that's not...
Hi.
Hi.
Your outfit is eating.
Wait, I'm screaming.
Wait, same.
Oh,
Literally.
wait, it's giving icon.
No, because you're giving diva.
Clock it, clock it.
The way I need to know your name.
No, because same.
Okay, let's say it on 3.
Okay,
One,
1, 2, 3,
Page.
What?
Wait, I'm gagged.
That part.
Wait, no, because the way I'm obsessed with you.
No, because same. Except I'm also super overstimmy right now, so...
No, because same.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go.
Okay, you do you, girly pop.
Bye, queen.
So much of this is AAVE.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of it's like from the queer community as well.
Yeah, I do feel like a essential component of Gen Z, which I don't think I have the gray matter for. I don't think I was trained in the blade enough. Is memorizing stims. I think there's like if you like scroll through like just kind of a normie's camera roll or something, and it's like photos of a sunset they saw, maybe a dinner, whatever, and then you scroll through anybody who's even a slight bit too online, and it is only reaction images, and then one photo of a dog, and then 80 reaction images. It's like
It's
that
like
kind
I
of
can't
thing.
keep. It's like that is like it's a thing I can't even keep up with, and my ADHD is already.
I would make a note I would make like a note for those phrases because there's no way I can hold on to it.
It's funny because like all of this makes sense to me, but it's because I'm very online.
You've been made to understand.
And also like, it's like, I'm not like, I have friends who are 26,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, we have friends, Jacob, who talk like this.
I work with a guy who talks like this.
Okay.
No, but like same.
No, but like same girly pop.
Yeah.
That part.
That part. Clock it.
Jacob, have you ever felt like you've sunk into the atmosphere of that at any point? Better question, do you have the muscle memory? Are you trained but just not applying?
Oh,
I
that's
don't
not.
think I have the muscle memory, but I think a large part of this too.
Sorry, I am now doing them as stims. I can't help it.
It's hard to separate Gen Z culture from like TikTok culture.
Yes.
Right? Because a lot of Gen Z culture was grown and perpetuated on like TikTok and Instagram.
Yes.
And so it's hard to say sometimes if it's like a generational thing or like a internet culture thing.
I think it's well, I think to your credit, I do think it's both, because earlier, Jordan, you were talking about like talking how they talk on TV, and that's kind of like me. That's like how I learned to talk. And a lot of people now, social media has replaced that. And so it reinforces a lot of this stuff, the social media stuff, which doesn't, it's this like, what's the opposite of an anachronism, where it's like the word backronym, but for like when you take something. So essentially what I'm trying to say is a lot of TikTok stuff is not just how people talk, but how people need to present to engage and to make content. And then that feeds into the consumers of that content, who then emulate that. And then it becomes how people are speaking in the real world,
it's
even though a lot of
recursive
it's
loop.
very like, you know, because sometimes people speak in that it's like it's like a meta for like a different type of content. Like if I'm watching a day in the life video, I'm expecting come with me as I show you the day in the life working as an intern in New York.
Holding the microphone is like,
by the way, I'm holding,
it's a visual.
I'm holding the iPhone microphone that you cannot buy anymore. And I don't know where everyone's getting it.
To plug it in the first place.
But you know what I mean.
I do think like a very like early example is when people would say out loud "lol."
Oh, I still do that just for shits and gigs. I love cross-generational stuff.
It just depends on who I'm with also.
Yes.
Because
absolutely.
I also will like use a lot
code
of
switching,
more of this type of language around like Maria, like my best friend. Like
Maria's, and this is not an insult, who I thought about with this, only because she hits a few of those. She hits the
she's bilingual.
But she does it in a tongue. She also does it in a tongue-in-cheek way too,
which is the entry drug. I will say for anything
sure.
in that realm. We were chatting yesterday about a RAD.
RAD
was kind of an obligation at one point in time.
Or like hell yeah, brother. Like these things are just like fucking stems.
It's ironic until it's not.
Until it's not.
And then I have had many situations where I'm like, I have to stop doing it.
There are some of these that remind me of specific people that I'm like when someone encapsulates all of this in an earnest way, it feels like they are. It does feel like no personality in quotes, but it's not that. But it is just like this. It's like, why does everything you say sound like you're online?
One of my dearest friends does sometimes go into this mode.
Sure.
Like, you've been on TikTok too much. But I totally get it, because that happens to me too. Something seeps into my brain.
I called someone a chud earlier today.
Well, and I don't know if you remember this, but when
actually,
the American Office first popped off, everybody said that's what she said. And it was hard not to. It was a stim a little bit.
Sorry,
like
Jacob keeps just tracking these women.
They're like multiplying.
This is like the thing I see right before I wake up.
But sometimes I do think that this is a little bit like putting up a facade.
Well, but which I think is
so not no personality, but maybe I'm not showing you any of my personality.
I think it's like, I want to be in the in group. I want to fit in.
Yeah.
I want to match everyone. And there's nothing wrong with that.
It is. I mean, it's also a case of like shared vernacular, I guess.
Oh, you know, the other thing that this reminds me of is the AAVE struggle tweets.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the stuff, like a one that gets misused the most is like AHH, where people say instead of like it's ass. Like it's like goofy ass.
It's not like an application for
and so it's like I know you've only ever read this.
Yes, there's a really so there's this thing where in a lot of shows, Orphan Black was the one where I saw it first, and it just started like good show, but like grading.
Color grading.
There's a thing where a lot of the time people don't get that shite is not a substitute for shit. Yeah. They're different. It's two words with different applications. Like, it's like you don't stub your tongue and go, shite.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. And it would happen constantly. There'd be some drama. It'd be like, and she'd go like, shite! It's a Canadian show.
Okay.
And so it's like, shite it! And I'm like, this is just not...
I saw
You just
one-
need to show one English person and they'll be like, that no.
I saw one that was very funny because it was about Pokemon. The first time I saw Charizard was when my Charmeleon evolved. No internet, no strategy guides, nothing. 100% child wonder, discovery of the unknown, which I think is like relatable. All these things when you were a kid, you just like didn't know. I feel the same way about most stuff in RuneScape.
When
you've just
finding
discovered
Dragon Ball.
stuff. Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? Why is it
literally.
animated different?
First episode of Dragon Ball I watched, Goku was on Snake Way, which is like essentially filler.
It's a lot to process all at once.
And I was just mesmerized. I was like, the moving pictures. But then someone quote tweeted this with what I believe to be an AAVE struggle tweet.
Oh.
Because they're upset, and the person who's quote tweeting it is upset that this person said that they had never seen Charizard before. And so here's
They're
the quote
upset
tweet.
by that?
Here's a quote tweet. Me when I lie as hell.
Oh, dude. When I lie as hell.
Me when I lie as hell. I saw this in the wild
know,
on my
black
feed,
people.
and I was like, "What are we doing?"
I mean, it's also, I don't know, it's kind of a nothing ever happens type post where it's like, okay, I don't think you're like, literally, I've never seen the visual before. The box doesn't say what it is.
and that's why people are defending this person. So that's why I don't want to put the other quote tweeter on blast.
Dude,
but
people love fighting, huh?
it's like, yeah, I don't know, but yeah. So like Gen Z language is this amalgamation of like internet speak. There's often been this discourse about, okay, well, so much of this internet lingo is just AAVE, which is just true. Like so much of it.
A lot of, and then like kind of matriculated through
Laundered.
also like queer culture and
Yeah,
then like a lot
yeah.
of drag culture terminology.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is kind of just like, yeah, I'll have that.
Kind of.
I like what you're doing. That's my one now.
And a lot of times it's just like not, attributed back or it's
People just don't even know.
bastardized. Like, like when black people, like there's that Kev on Stage tweet where he talks about how like people are using unk is upsetting for him. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. Cause like it is this, for lack of a better term, bastardization of like the original thing. And there is like, for me, this tug between the natural evolution of language, a la we say literally now when things didn't literally happen, and the kind of culture vulture theft that often happens where it's like, I want the rock and roll music, but without the black people.
Yes.
You know
and
what
then
I mean?
and then it gets to you and you're like, oh, this is nice. Oh, I didn't know
you
there
go,
was
"Oh."
something bad about it.
That's not,
I go, sheesh, I have this, I only found out about this kind of recently. This is it's one of those things where like struggling with the application of the word now, but from what I understand, chav, CHAV, is now like used to describe style, look, like a style.
oh, interesting.
And the thing is, like, that was always like kind of there and adjacent, but the origin of the term chav is council housed and violent. It's a classist term. It's to say like look at this person, they're a chav, aka they're poor and they shouldn't come to my school.
Right.
That's like now evolved in a way that's like, and I know, to be fair, I know a lot of people that would like, if I don't even know if reclaiming the word is an accurate way to say it, but use it like themselves because so many people would call them that. And it did like, but like I still in my brain, I find it so hard to divorce it from like, somebody's getting driven home by their parents and they go past us at the bus stop and they yell like chavs. And I'm like, it's fine and it's like good, I guess.
It's
whatever.
like it's hard to police because
I'm the problem.
and I love the police. It's a hard thing to like monitor, moderate, and police because one, the way that people police language online is really annoying.
Yeah.
You
It's
know
kind
what
of
I mean?
ruined it.
Yeah,
to be
where
honest.
it's like, okay, and I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm just saying that like the reason that a lot of people don't get on board with it is because it's annoying.
And it's usually the reply that is, it's smug. There's a smugosity.
Smugness. A smugosity.
I do want to say though, I have no animosity towards it. Like I find all of the the funny little quirks and vocal stims and stuff. None of this is a critique of Gen Z. I just think it's so funny that it's reached kind of like an apex now, like a cultural awareness where it's something you can mock. There's like enough of it to make fun of it, if that makes sense. Like people that aren't Gen Z are now aware of Gen Z slang.
In order to reach your audience effectively, you want to like meet people where they are, and as language and communication evolves, so do the tools that you use to communicate.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the church pastor who like does like hip hop to like preach the Lord. It's like that's like a really awkward way of doing it. But
let's rap for a second, guys.
Jacob pulled up this tweet that says, "I hate when people say shit is Gen Z slang when it's AVE." Like we was saying, low kirk. I can't even. I've never said this out loud. Low-kirk-inuinely. I don't. Does anyone ever say that out loud?
Low-kirk-inuinely.
Low-kirk-inuinely. In the hood in 1997.
That's actually, wait, I'm realizing one of the weirder things is like actual like length of these, like, because it's, you know, in the context of a post, like any of these it's a term, a word, a post length. It's like there's a character limit to these stims. Everything has to be about half a sentence long. Like there's nothing like I Can Has Cheeseburger is extremely cringe and was at the time and now is in retrospect as well. But it is too long to work now because like does that make sense? But structurally things are so like.
And also this is obviously in bad faith. Like the Kirk memes are so new and sure there's Gen Z slang that isn't just take like misappropriated AAVE, but
there's a really good etymology nerd video about this where he talks about where the majority of our quote unquote internet slang is coming from nowadays. And it's really fascinating because a lot of it is coming from AAV, but a lot of it is coming from like Sigma male, like, you know, incel.
Exactly. I mean, like people are
like mogging.
I was
and
gonna
that kind of thing.
bring up Mog. Like, I mean, there's like the Alyssa Liu like quote, the clip that just came out where it's like my main goal is to Mog.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I mean, yeah,
I do think there's
clock it.
I was kind of surprised by how ubiquitous the Mog stuff became, just because I feel like we see this cycle a lot, you know.
Yeah,
but maybe
Mog was bubbling under for a while. Though. I mean, Mog was around.
Molding and Mog and maxing and
yeah.
obviously.
But I do think
sorry, good.
I do think it's filling a need.
Yeah, genuinely, I think it is. Like, I really think
there wasn't something there in that space.
I mean, I think it's also just more fun versus like a few other ways of like phrase. It is very fun to, again, it's like you play with Legos because you can't build a house when you're a kid. You know, you build the little thing. You build like the thing. It's like that. It's like, ooh, I can have a joke.
Isn't the origin of memes similar to this, where it's like these like little like cultural nuggets that
mimetic theory of like an idea that spreads organically.
Because it feels like that's like what it is. It's like we interject these momentary, maybe fleeting, ephemeral cultural pieces to stay connected to our like communities.
Yeah, it does signal contemporary a little bit.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
Hey, don't worry, I'm a peer.
And that's why it has to continue evolving, which is, I've brought this up with you guys. Like if I talk to somebody that I went to high school with who isn't online, it is
it highlights. Yeah,
it really highlights the gap.
I think I am
discourse.
Like not particularly online person, and then I will be in England for any period of time, and I'll reference something or like even use a word a certain way. I'm like, okay, all right, Mr. Hollywood. Wearing sunglasses ever?
I was thinking, I'm watching all these old seasons of Survivor, and there's some, I start to like think about.
What year is the first season?
First season's 2000. And so, okay, like this is a very silly example, but the globalization of culture in the internet age, right? There's a moment where this vegetarian girl is like, could we please get some tofu, some edamame? It's not like we never knew how to say it.
Yeah.
But I think that like Japanese culture is exported to America and there's not a like dialogue. It's like where karaoke, edamame, like where those things like come from. where it's like a closed system. It like only feeds one way.
It comes out like wholesale.
And
You're
then,
like, okay.
and then there's also no interest in out of sight, out of mind. There's no interest in paying respect to a culture.
Well, we took that. I'll have that one, please.
I'll have that, please.
That's
and that's a
my
little bit
culture
what
now.
this language feels like. It feels like a grab bag of I'll have that. Oh, Unc, I'll take that.
That one's useful.
Log.
Chopped, I'll grab that
Which
over
is
here.
like, you know, like the core of culture, right? It is like a shared language and like hegemony in a positive way. But I was gonna say now it feels like there's a lot less cynicism, which I appreciate. Like I feel like so much of the base of any conversation about terminology or any conversation about generational stuff was always kind of built around, hey, you're using that wrong, or you're doing the wrong thing there, or you're trying to communicate the wrong idea or something like that. But now I think of it, it's just now with a veil of irony. Like people are arguing and getting mad at each other, but with the kind of like the veil, the little buttress of like, it's online. I don't like give a shit or whatever.
Yeah.
But like it's giving wrong. And okay.
Oh yeah, it's giving is it's interesting that like because that's been around for so long, but
that one's persisting.
Let's just watch another one of these.
Your millennial coworker?
Yeah.
Hey, Queenie, you're serving tea this morning.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. Hey, you were standing on business in that meeting of all men. Remember, men ain't shit.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, guess what I brought for lunch today?
What?
Sweet potato with butter kaze.
What's butter kaze?
Wait. Do you not know who Courtney Cook is from TikTok?
No, I'm actually not on TikTok.
Oh my god. Okay, you know what? That's honestly for the best. I'm clocking like 7 hours a day on TikTok. My kids are like, Mom, please get off your phone, please. And I'm like, shut up. I'm trying to learn how to do French girl inspired makeup.
That was tough.
That was a lot of psychic damage.
That
all at
was
once.
tough.
A strong wave.
It like is it's like Uncanny Valley.
Yeah, it's like
I mean, it's AAVE struggle tweets again. But
when you're a baby and you see an adult changes their hair or something. What the fuck? Something I won't say a fan of, but I'm always curious about is like Gen Z roasts of like millennials, like impersonations and stuff. Not in this case, but in general, like a lot of the fuck, like that kind of posting, but as a joke from Gen Z, and it's like fun to watch, but I do always notice like a little bit of a misunderstanding of how it's being used.
Oh,
like
yeah,
a
for sure.
colon 3 is like, yes, that it just it isn't like quite where they think it's being used.
Yeah.
And like, but thank God. I mean, I'm not trying to preserve that culture by any means. But
no, let it die. I was just thinking about, will we remember 6'7"? I think 6'7's dead, and it died. So it rose to such, it's like a one-hit wonder.
its candle was too bright.
It's like if you were in a coma, no one's going to remind you about 6'7".
Like when we play Bandle and it'd be like song from 2011, 9.3 trillion views. We're like, what the fuck?
I do want to play Bandle after this. I guess we'll do that on Sad Boyz Nightz.
But then when we go like, oh yeah, 6'7", yeah. I guess the only thing that gives it life is the numbers being next to each other. So that's always,
Well, that's how you know it's dead, because I'm seeing the numbers come up and no one's saying anything.
I'm still
It's
counting,
crickets.
you know.
My barometer for this was kids at basketball games on the jumbotron not doing it anymore.
Not hitting the.
It's
that's the
over.
canary in the coal mine.
That is, yeah, it's gone. The canary's out.
Which was
It escaped the mind.
I think there's kind of something beautiful about it. Seeing like in your own lifetime, seeing the birth of a son and the death of the son. You know, like seeing SUN, by the way. It's like you get to see its motion goes from this is a thing that older people don't understand to older people kind of understand it. Oh, they're doing it too much. Oh, I don't like it anymore. And now everyone hates it. And then everyone's fine with it.
It is this interesting thing where it's like we will all reach a certain age where either we don't care about adopting any of the new language, or you become so severely out of touch that it's like doesn't compute and you just can't like keep up, because it's not like we're trying to do it. It's more just like you're talking, you're consuming, you're whatever.
I do have I think a D&D racial buff of being from another country, and if I'm out of touch with anything culturally, I'm allowed to pretend it's because of that.
Yeah,
I want to go like, yeah, it's been a fucking decade since I was like involved in
but
British
it's like
culture at all. But
if you look at someone like Hank Green, like he still reaches a lot of like Gen Z people, but it's because has an unbroken streak of being an online communicator this whole time, and so you don't perceive the like age difference. Or
he's
whatever.
also like I think he's also been like elder statesman is kind of his thing.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's he shouldn't be using too much of the terminology because that goes against his brand.
But he's the most on TikTok person I know. Like,
But
I thought you were clocking.
Oh, sorry, but yeah, my knuckles snapped for you. It's giving ow. For us, I felt like I was such like a bastion of the future being online.
It's like the first
I'm online.
It's like it's the generation that planted all of the flags down on the moon. You know, it's like, because it wasn't the first generation online.
And we were not we didn't even really travel to the moon. We were just there.
Yeah.
And then like somebody else did all the flying. And we went like, I made the moon. That was my idea.
Yeah, it's like another generation went to the moon, but then they gifted us a moon transporter where we can like go to the moon whenever we
really
want.
easily. And then we're like, yeah, the moon's kind of my thing. I don't think the rest of you.
But yeah, it's just like so much of the incumbent internet is just going to be a bunch of shit that, like, when millennials are getting online, there's just like not a culture developed. And so then they reach a critical mass before the previous generation does in terms of the amount of internet hours.
Yeah, it's like
spent.
Like buying
loitering,
buying
online.
a house in the 80s. You know what I mean? It's
Communing
like,
online.
yeah, that's true.
It's like because the older generations, they're online, but they're not. On average, they're not building community online. And I think that was like the millennials' like contribution was like laying some communal groundwork.
Yeah, I think the internet is supplemental to a boomer, and then it is kind of dual wielded
instrumental to a millennial.
and completely essential.
Yeah,
I cannot imagine.
Well,
I'm
Anastasia-
realizing I'm out of the loop on this because people think I'm like exaggerating or like I'm actually not on TikTok. Like if someone sends me a link, I have to log in. Like it is that rare that I forget that I have it. It's not. It's just my thumb doesn't drift to it, and I don't know if I was. I don't know if this would be reaching me.
See, that's 100% my case. I'm on TikTok constantly, and I'm watching ladies explain how to wear certain weird items of clothing in the 16th century.
there's something for anyone out there.
There's a
And
server somewhere exclusively reserved for you and like 9 other people because they're studying that portion of the algorithm. We've
There's
never
also
seen
this
anything like it.
guy who has a regular series called What's in That Rock, where he finds a rock and he cracks it open and shows you what's inside. Anyways, what I was going to say
You're insane.
is this, you are right when what you said, Jarvis, in the beginning of this, that we are all the same. This is nothing new. And I was trying to think of an old example, and I can't think of one, but the best I came up with is like when the Harlem Renaissance was happening in like, post World War I.
Yeah.
And all of these Black jazz musicians and poets and like artists were gathering in Harlem and like creating culture. And then people from other parts of New York would spend one evening in Harlem and then be like, oh, cool, daddy-o, or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know what their slang
black,
was, but
go back.
whatever the slang and culture. So one maybe example of this is Fleischer cartoons. So this guy, Max Fleischer, he created Betty Boop and Popeye and other very
babes.
famous cartoons. He was a Jewish man in New York who would go to go to Harlem, party, became friends with all of these jazz musicians, and then would put them in his little animation. So there's a famous Cab Calloway animation of Minnie the Moocher, whatever. And so it's a little more collaborative, maybe a little than this kind of example. But it's like, that's how then the Harlem Renaissance culture permeated all of American culture and through writing and through recording of records.
And it's one of those things where it's like cool, but it's like we still have to, I think where we lose it a bit is when we like forget where we came from, because then it's just like, it's so easy to say, oh, well, this is just how people are now. This is just culture or whatever. But in those instances, sometimes it's like who's creating the culture and then who's commodifying it and who gets to profit off of it.
Yeah.
And also, like, it's always tempting to kind of do the reverse version of it, where something in a culture changes, or you get criticized on like less progressive elements of your culture as like an older person, and your instinct can be to be like, well, things have fucking changed. Back then, it was actually good. And it's like, no, back then we were just wrong. But then it's like, you know, it was like cruel to do the bad things we did, but like, yeah, but back then the culture was so different. You know what I mean?
gosh.
We just use that word. It's, you know, it's good.
There's a lot of that in the old Survivor seasons.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do, I guess.
If you gave a hot Cheeto to a Victorian child, they would like pass away. Guys, wait, what if you gave a Sour Patch Kid to a Victorian child? They'd be like, what is this? If you showed my iPhone 7 to a Victorian child, they'd be like, what's this box? And we'd be like, box, it's an iPhone.
That is something I will say. I'm grateful that so much of my material as a kid, like my jokes, I could just steal because no one would know.
Oh yeah.
I was allowed to steal that from like a forum or something, and people be like,
Like
"That's
me
such a
with
good."
kids, I would perform Kids in the Hall to my friends at lunch.
I
every
mean,
day.
you want to know how I got this Stewie Griffin impression?
I know how I got this pod.
Oh, he's holding the mic for you. You could probably let go.
Cheers.
Kidding.
He's not. He wants the mic.
He has no grip strength.
Yeah, he's a loser. You're pathetic. I love you.
I'm jealous. I want him to choose me.
You guys see this? You heard about this?
Hey,
J.I.G. Leno? Is that who that was?
Yeah.
Okay.
you like him or
No.
you enjoy his
I've
stuff?
seen this.
Look, I don't hate him, but I do think if you grow up in Burbank, you've seen him driving around in his little car. He fixes up old cars.
His little cars.
Which is why when you did that, I was like, Jay Leno? I was like, is that what I'm supposed to be getting from this?
Would be devastating if you have like decades of cultural like presence, and someone does an impression of you, and someone goes, "Eh,
Yeah.
is that what was his thing?" He was like he drove.
I mean, that's like George Bush impressions now. We had a lot of cultural cachet in strategery.
dude. That's true. I could think those. To be fair to Gen Z, a lot of the terms they use at least have like some flexibility. So much of the stuff that would like get locked as vocal stems for us, I feel like would just. Oh, it was like our joke. It was
a
the
full
thing.
just
You
joke.
couldn't
Full
use
joke.
it somewhere else.
Well, because now there's TikTok sounds.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know what I mean? Like we just didn't have that. One more, please.
Hi, my sweet angel baby. Who was that? Oh, my TikTok doctor says I have a touch of the tism. That's why I like wear my sleeves up like
Okay,
this.
this is fraction too familiar.
This is the intersection between TikTok and self-diagnosing neurodivergence is something to be sure.
That is one of those things where I am a bystander. I'm sitting here and we're like, would love to hear some thoughts about that from people that think about it.
Well, I was talking to one of our friends who's staying with me, and I was talking about some ADHD stuff. And then she was like, I'm starting to get recommended these things that are like the memes where it's like specific ADHD things. And she was like, do I have ADHD? And while I was like, that's not for me to say. And she's like, I'm 34. I can't have another thing. And I was like, you can. But also, we had a conversation on the way to the Laker game where it started with, I'm going to tell you this thing. And then we got to the Laker game, 30 minutes, by the way. And I was like, okay, so what's the thing? And I didn't have the heart to tell her that conversation went in a very ADHD direction.
I do think TikTok has a bad case of diagnosing people without any credibility, because like there's a huge thing of being like, this person's a narcissist. I'm going to tell you why.
100%.
And it's like, that's actually happening with Love is Blind right now.
Oh, it's funny because I recorded this whole video about Chris from Love is Blind. And at no point did I say anything about, I think I said he was drunk and he sucks. I was just like, and I think he said he's a bad person.
I think you did say like, I'm not gonna diagnose him, because like that, you can't diagnose someone without talking to them or knowing them.
Who fucking cares?
Yeah.
That's the other thing that I do think I get the appeal of, in theory, the idea that you could quickly use these 5 tips and tricks, doctors hate him, way of identifying like a guy you shouldn't date.
Yeah.
Because he fell inside of the box and now he is a narcissist. And it's like, yeah, you can also just be rude and a bad guy.
Yeah.
I think
nothing about the medical element changes maybe how your reaction
I
should
think
be.
when it comes to like diagnosing other people, there's some element of like there's a societal obsession with sociopaths, psychopaths, and things like that. You get it with like serial killers and stuff. And I wonder if it's like playing into that, where it's like fun to theorize. And if I were to put on my like pseudo psychological hat, would be psychoanalysis hat, would be like this. Maybe this is something where it like is an instinct to protect, like
Right.
to protect the group from potentially like malicious. Like I'm like, what is this societal obsession with diagnosing people or assigning these labels? And I wonder if it's something like that.
I think there's a safety or at least comfort in the idea that if you follow all of the rules and you do enough numbers, then you'll
safe.
never date a bad person. As opposed to like, you might have to find it in the cut a little bit. You might have to develop your own ability to read people or assess a situation.
Yeah.
And instead it's like, wow, I just wish I'd known that he was a number 4. And then I could have just not talked to him.
There's 2 things, like, because there's like the like true crime effect of like, if I watch this, it will better prepare me in the world.
And I've definitely felt that.
And I felt that too. And I have nothing to fear. 6'1.5", by the way. But the
I just like pretending for a second that I wouldn't use my martial arts to defend myself.
Exactly, yeah. But then there's also separately from that, labeling it, which is like a different, feels like a different but separate obsession.
I just have to say, a lot of the people I've known with like a history of mutually toxic relationships usually wrap them up and tag it with I think they had BPD. It's like very rarely personal reflection on like what actually took place, and much more like it's just saying they're a Virgo. Do you know what I mean? It's just like great. I'll make sure to remember to not date them.
Well, so that's the thing. The value externally for labeling the stuff, very small. The value internally, I actually think there is like, now there's actions because you can try to, narrow down how to tackle maybe certain challenges that you have in your life. And, but externally there's like no value to, because it's going from that direction. There's not a monolith of people with VPD, a monolith of people with ADHD, et cetera, et cetera. But there are like little breadcrumb relatabilities. That's why you can say you can say relatable tweet and then get you find the audience of people with ADHD and everybody likes it.
It is I will take issue with ADHD content, like posts about it, like relatable. So glad people have creative outlet, and I think it's really cool that they're posting stuff. And I think it's poison, and it is the least funny stuff on the entire planet, and I can't see it anymore.
There's like a weird discourse on self-diagnosis too. I don't know how that's evolved because I'm not in those spaces, but maybe I have a superficial view here. But it's like, don't self-diagnose because you might seek like inappropriate treatment.
Yeah,
it muddies the water because
if you're
like
self-treating as well.
It's kind of like it's like, I think if you do that a lot, or at least like categorize yourself swiftly and other people like very swiftly, maybe I'm just speaking for myself, maybe I'm projecting, but I feel like if I indulge in like not critically thinking about something or just kind of accepting a falsehood or something like that, as time goes on, it kind of calcifies, and I'm then like, yeah, I guess I am that. Like, I can't remember what's real and what's fake and what's exaggerated.
Cautionary tale. I have a friend who was taking antidepressants, and
they were weak, or
she was getting them from her general practitioner.
Yeah.
Later on, found out that those antidepressants were actually affecting her undiagnosed bipolar disorder. She went into a psychotic state, manic episode, and that's when she got diagnosed with bipolar. And the doctor was like, never, ever take this antidepressant, which I'm not going to
Yeah.
name because I actually don't remember what it's called and I don't want to fuck it up.
And it's sometimes applicable, but it just is not in that case.
And it's something that can trigger manic episodes. So
I had a really okay. Actually, wait. Cautionary tale. Mistake I made, I guess I'll say, is that I didn't self-diagnose ADHD, but I got to the point of curiosity, partially because we talked about it, and partially because like some personal circumstances were changing, and so I
you were impregnated, would you say?
I was impregnated with curiosity.
There we go.
And a lack of dopamine release. And I went to a specialist, directly to a specialist, and got tested there. Not a bad idea if that's available to you, but it was the one and only time at the time that I had ever just even looked into any kind of like mental health, behavior condition, treatment, anything. And as a result, I'd like over-catered the situation. And what I should have done is like the kind of more the annoying, laborious process of looking at the entire situation, because then I went fucking crazy. Like I started stimulants and I went fucking insane for like 3 months. And then my mom reached out to what is still my current psychiatrist 7 years ago now. And I just got one appointment and he just went, "Oh, you have bipolar too." So it's you don't take these. Like, don't take this one.
He slapped it out of your
You
hand.
need this other thing with or without the stimulants. And then I was fortunate that just immediately worked. And it's exactly what I still use now. But like I self-diagnosed, I just didn't, I didn't use Musically at the time, I guess.
You were looking at the whole situation, just maybe a tiny part.
I think
of
it was partially being a little tech brain, to be fair. I was doing a lot of like, I got to optimize myself.
That was me.
I'm adjusting my sleep schedule into it. The 3 pattern day nonsense.
Polyphasic.
I'm polyphasic. I'm insane. I think we maybe have a natural, I mean, obviously neither of us are vaccinated, but we have kind of like a metaphorical vaccination with pure
I have a literal vaccination.
Yeah, no, but like we don't have to include this in the show. We don't have to pretend we're
I would love
vaccinated.
to, actually, and I would love to say loudly and proudly, what?
It doesn't do anything. I drank the whole thing. It didn't do fucking
You
shit.
don't.
Wait, why
You're not supposed to drink
You took
it.
a vial to the dome?
You took a vial straight. You can't.
One line of it. And it
Right.
makes me a little weird.
You did a line of the vial.
Yeah, to trick them.
It was a liquid or a powder?
I don't know why we're so focused on this. My point is that it was the scamdemic. Okay. Imagine I just destroy the show by turning out to be a bad person.
Okay, so before we wrap, I need you to see this Gavin Newsom clip.
Oh, yes. Who, I don't know about you,
But I'm feeling 22.
pre-voted.
Oh yeah, you pre-voted for
Everybody's
28.
going to pre-vote.
Speaking
You
of-
cannot have any kind of scruples about what might happen over the next 2 years. You have to pre-vote for this guy.
I'm like, why are people already talking about voting for him?
I don't understand that because like let there be a primary,
Yeah.
let there be light. Let John Ossoff get some off too. Like damn shit.
Well, and also like
I'm voting Biden.
You're just biding your time. I saw Mamala might throw her hat into the race. Oh, he looks sithy.
That's
here.
a really unflattering line. He's Palpatine. He's giving Palpatine.
Giving Palpatine. Clock it, actually.
Clocking that.
The
Why does he look so small?
what does he look like? He looks like an elder tomato.
It looks good though.
the lighting also aged him immensely.
It is unflattering to say the least. Is he?
Normally he mogs is the thing.
He usually will mog people.
Is like and that's to his credit, but like
He's got Clab's vote, right?
he's got Clav's vote.
I do have a suggestion for anyone.
I mean, it's giving pursuit of power in light of like, you know, the like an
Performance of
ideology.
relatability.
Holy
Really.
shit, Jarvis, clock it.
Thank you.
That part.
For
Whatever.
anyone wishing to run for office, become a CEO, be a big Hollywood director, anything like that.
Look like this and you'll
Stop
win.
fucking slicking your hair back. You look like a supervillain.
Evil cartoon.
I mean, Tim Robinson said, you slick your hair back, you're a piece of shit. And that is absolutely true.
Lock him up.
We were just looking up a director who I won't name, but his hair was slicked back. And I'm like, that guy's a fucking piece of shit.
It is.
I don't know anything about him.
It
but
is
he
a little kind of like. It took a lot of.
His name is Harry Slickback.
We should have known. But there is a little bit of like Isn't the point of hiring all of these like staffers who don't know what a Photoshop file is to correct you on like what is
Yes.
obviously bad optics?
Yes.
Like they can't convert a PDF, but they can at least be like, "Hey, you look like Logan Roy."
Yes.
Don't do that because it's a show about how bad the guy is. So maybe
If I got this image of Gavin Newsom,
I'm American Psycho from American
Yes.
Psycho.
he is
Exactly.
jacked.
He's so cool.
I'm Tyler Durden. I didn't finish the movie.
I'm Rick.
Actually, yeah, he's kind of giving.
like I do feel
I'm
like
next. I'm Rick Sanchez.
they're
Oh,
all
God.
super villains, and I guess they want people to know that with their haircut.
That's
Anyways,
true. It's nice to give
it's
us
like
a clue.
Gavin Newsom, governor of California.
Normal man, just relatable like you and me. You know?
let's watch him being normal.
So this is he's talking to, I actually don't know what event this was, but I think it was in Atlanta.
It's the mayor of Atlanta, is it, I believe, or governor.
I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you. I'm no better than you. You know,
Pause.
I'm
Who's
a
the
90.
you?
Pause. Why is he speaking it with full stops?
I know, he's speaking with M dashes.
I'm like you. Stop. I'm no better than you. Stop.
He's also his book is fucking huge. It's like a torso.
Bigger the book, the better the person.
It must be full of so many ideas. I cannot
Science.
Or are they really small?
Oh well, we've kind of established
What
they're
is-
kind of small.
What is the name of his book? Is infuriating. I can't. What the hell is it again?
It's your
I think it's Young Man in a
Hurry. That's it. Yeah. Disgusting.
And so am I.
Young man in a hurry to tank the general election. Nah, I love him, and his hair's good. He's kind of got a business at the front and at the back mullet somehow. Where's the party?
It's like his hair is like slicked back round two or something like in the back.
Yeah.
It's like it's Harry slick back to electric boogaloo.
Electric. It's like he's
like Sligoo. The
I'm sure
Pokemon.
he's really fast. Like aerodynamically.
Aerodynamic, yeah. He's got the spoiler on
He's
his
in a
head.
hurry.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
And yeah, so this is a book event, and it's a conversation with the Atlanta mayor, Andre Dickens. Can we find what he says before that? Because I would like to have a little more context.
The only thing I know is that it is like a diverse crowd than like kind of the right was letting on. They were doing the, like install the whatever. But it is not. How do people think this kind of shit is relatable? God, it's just the same guy. Just looking at him now,
I
it's
know.
just the same guy.
We've got a few years, so we'll see how this like. There's a lot of hopefully people who will throw their hat into the ring, and we'll have more interesting discussions. But I do find it annoying that people are like, well, I'm just going to suck it up and vote for him. I'm like, we have not, hold on. There is a democratic process to be
Yeah.
had here.
He's actually, you're not going to believe this, not running for president.
But like his whole thing
He
is
just
he's been
might.
like kind of positioning himself in this like kind of dark woke, like anti-Trump
Yeah.
type thing where he posts in like Trump voice or does like press releases in all caps where he's
He's
like,
poning him. He's mogging him.
yeah,
with
he's
fake memes.
he's trying to mog him in the marketplace of ideas. And it's a much more nuanced like political discussion that I think I want to have today. But I do want to say that like politicians work for us
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Supposedly, in theory.
That's what they're supposed to do.
We need to force them to remember that.
You
There's
have
a-
to keep them accountable because they work for you. It can't be that every time they come in, they don't do any work and they shit on the floor.
There's a Jared Kushner quote, like in Trump's first presidency, where he talks about how like the American public is like their customer, and it's like no, you're the servant. You're supposed to be the public servant. That's how this is supposed to work.
Nah, I won. I'm in the winning team.
So
allowed
I'm the
to-
king.
I won you.
Okay, I found it.
Oh, you did perfect.
Yeah.
And this is, by the way, this is the we are not journalists. This is the journalistic integrity of us trying to find a lick of context.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Actually trying.
Yeah.
The opportunities and privilege, but what it also took away, and who I was becoming. And my mom saw that. She saw those cracks in that mask, and she challenged me. And And so
I've never
it's a
seen
story.
this before. What is this? What's this motion? It's like he's twisting the dial to be like, you like me more? And
Dial it.
I'm good now?
Clock it.
Dialing? He's even like that, right? It's the weirdest.
I've done that before. I can't tell you why I've done it.
Well, it makes me think of like my mother tweaked me.
yeah. She
like,
opened up the
adjusted
hatch in my back.
weirder, more weird interests.
All right, let's see.
Story about resilience, redemption.
Okay.
It's a story about humility and grace.
Okay.
I think it's a very human story.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be someone I'm not.
I think it's something like a living guy would write.
Right. It's something that really tells a story that many warm-blooded individuals would understand.
It's not really a skinwalker's book.
Well, really blooded individuals in general.
What I'm understanding is that he used to not be acting like himself, and his mom called him out on it, and so he decided to be himself,
Which is a chatbot made a politician.
Yes.
All right.
I can't do that anymore.
That's why he speaks with M-dashes, because he is AI.
And I say to kids all the time, learn from, don't follow others.
Say that to kids.
You know, your expression's unique. Nobody else has it.
Okay.
And I've really the way we're doing, some of you may have seen some of my social media.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know.
Owned, dude. Get his ass. Maybe you,
I'm on the other side.
it's like when Post Malone goes, I made a little song called White Iverson. Woo!
Oh my god!
Oh my god, we love that stuff. We love the meme you posted.
That was epic. You posted Success Kid and then said 2028 much? Yes.
So this is him saying, I'm just like you.
Well,
I'm on
he's-
the other side.
He's
That
getting
sense.
there. He's okay. So he's talking about his sort of dark, woke, edgy approach to calling out Mr. Presidente.
And
Right.
I mean, I think Anastasia oversimplified it. I think that, the nuance there is that he used to, and he did something, right? And
He
then it
used
was
to,
something
and
else.
then what? And then you can do anything.
And he could do you so much, essentially.
And then
I'm a ghoul, I'm a demon. They're all demons, by the way. This is
I
not
mean,
some
yeah,
kind
it's
of
just a thing. I mean, look,
The demon that inhabits my body is different than the demon that inhabits his body.
that's true.
Also, too, I think a lot of people talk about Gavin Newsom. Like, our relationship with Gavin Newsom is not just as, like, from base as a
Yeah,
lot of people
we've
talking about it.
disagreed with things he's actually done.
This is
Yeah.
not like a guy that just dropped out of nowhere.
He's
like,
the
"Actually, give me
governor
a
of our
chance."
state, in which many of us have lived for a decade plus. And yeah, it's like, so it's not about like a team sports thing. It's about I don't like how you feel about homeless people.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
brought
Yeah.
me a turd on a plate. You didn't
Yeah.
bring me. It's not like I don't understand.
He's like a can we ship the homeless people away Democrat. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
which is like, if you think that's something that he shouldn't be held accountable for, like, I don't know what to tell you. I think it's naivety in some cases. People thinking like that Gavin Newsom, he's not the safe
finally
choice.
someone's taking Trump to task.
He's owning him online.
Well, that's the thing. It's just like,
He'll really own him in the debate for
I
a
have to
presidency.
have a
he
very
can't run
different
for.
discussion if it's like, if he does get the nomination, but it's very fatalistic to just be like acting like he's already won.
Yeah, like, it's the vote's between him and Trump. And it's like, you don't know that.
like Bernie, for example, entered 2016 like super late. And still like ruined Hillary's chances.
That's
No,
right,
but like
yeah.
he like had an
Had
impact, for
momentum
example.
and people
Yeah.
connected with it.
Right. So it's like, I, on the side of optimism, hope to find a better candidate in the intervening years that we have.
And it's just so like, to be enthusiastic about an establishment mover shaker career politician because they are such a trad mover shaker career politician that this aesthetic you think is appealing to a large mass of people.
He is like a Lego politician. Like his hair's bolted on.
It's dated. It's like it's operating on the default lines in a political environment that no longer exists. This guy no longer reads to the people you need to compel as trustworthy, interesting, relatable, compelling, helpful. I'm not even talking about your particular political alignment, but he is like repulsive. Like,
is
people
Gavin
find
Newsom
him
like
repulsive.
in his 60s?
I mean, he looks really good.
If you dropped him in 1992, he'd win. in a
Yeah,
heartbeat.
right away.
Well,
He plays the saxophone
I
and
do feel like
harasses
his hair
workers.
is slicked back in order to hairline mog the other like 60-year-olds.
He's 58.
58, so he's getting there.
Yeah.
He'll be 60 when he runs, which he.
I do
the fuck
think
is
he
himself.
does have the age advantage because people
80 years.
yeah, people keep talking about like we just can't have another old man.
Well, yeah,
I mean, a
but
young,
then
sprightly
it's also
guy.
like I think that speaking of the age advantage, there are going to be younger people than 60 as well.
That's
so-
what I'm saying
Yeah.
is that
With
by the time the election
mobility,
actually
like-
happens, he'll be 60.
With some
Yeah.
like cultural mobility,
is that
some
true?
agility, like it's.
Yeah.
I do think you have to have a very cynical, kind of 2016-esque interpretation of Americans in general, like
Yeah.
a pretty patronizing view of people and how, like, you basically to unconditionally really, really buy in on cynical choices like Gavin Newsom. And we're not saying Gavin Newsom shouldn't run, couldn't run, wouldn't run. It was saying like, well, by the time he gets there, let's make sure he understands his constituents better.
Yeah.
Because he is doing something that, like, again, is intuitive to a certain generation that's no longer applicable. But like, thinks you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Thinks you're so incredibly stupid and can be wielded.
This
Yeah.
is all manipulation.
Also, in the interest of like public servitude, like you want to kind of whip these politicians into like doing the things that you care about.
Yeah.
And so it's like you shouldn't provide support before they offer a compelling argument as to why you should support them.
exactly.
How many compromises would you have to make to the point where it's like, okay, well, now I actually don't support.
It's kind of
Yeah.
like when like Zoran was running for mayor and he would talk about like he would always steer back to like the policies that he wants to institute for New Yorkers rather than being like orange man bad, I'm
Yes.
red man.
Right.
I'm better than man that's over there.
Yeah.
Cool
Well,
guy.
let's watch
All
a
right,
little
look-
more of this and try and understand.
Well, no, because we're
He's
going
relatable.
somewhere and you guys haven't seen unless
I
you've
haven't
seen the
seen
clip. Then you guys don't know where this is building. And
No.
so this is building to somewhere beautiful and incredible.
So he's on this side and his side, and you know
Yeah.
he was something, but now he isn't, or he is.
So after we watch this, we'll be like, yay, go.
Do you see what you just did?
I'm getting it.
Do you see what you just did?
It's giving.
You just discovered the reason.
Would you call it dialing?
After we turn that dial, don't turn that dial. We're coming back after the few messages
I
or
imagine
whatever.
there's a sponsorship here.
That was an old thing they used to say on television back when there were dials.
Don't
Okay.
touch that remote.
Yeah, there we go.
That's what they say now.
Yeah.
Don't touch that.
Don't tab
know that-
away. Come back.
We are needing all of it.
there. And I just want to put it all out there. I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you. I'm no better than you. You know, I'm a 960 SAT guy. And, and I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all there if you got 940. But literally a 960 SAT guy. I cannot, you've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech.
He's
He's
dyslexic.
dyslexic, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the wrong business to be in.
Sometimes.
My dyslexia, I haven't overcome dyslexia. I'm living with it. I was the guy in the back of the classroom and my head down, just
So the reason this went viral is it's like a talk in Atlanta.
Yes.
And he's talking to this like second person you, and it's unclear because he's being so vague who he's talking about. And it sounds
you.
like he's saying to an audience of black people,
You're stupid.
I'm just like you. I got a 960 SAT.
What's a good SAT?
Well, it depends on what era of
Okay.
the SAT. So the SAT is out of 1600 again, I think. It was out of 2400 for a brief window of time in which I took the SAT because they added a writing like essay section that was another 800 points. A good SAT score, like to get into like Ivy League schools, you generally have like a 1600 or like a 1580 or whatever, but it's gameable because you can take like SAT prep courses
Right.
and things
It's
like that.
It's a pay to win.
You learn how to take a test.
You learn how to take it. You
Yeah.
still have to like, it's like even if
You
you
have to go.
learn,
You have
you
to
still have
study.
to execute. But
Yeah.
I would say that like I want to say average is meant to be like 1,000
Okay.
or something. I think that that could be wrong. But like 1350 is like a good score. Like I think I had like a something around there, like 1350-ish.
It is weird as a 58-year-old man to remember.
But I only took it. I that was like my first. I didn't take any prep courses. I took it one time.
I feel like no matter who the audience is, it's weird to say, I'm like you. I got a bad score in school and I can't read. Because it's like your audience probably is varied.
Also, the average.
Especially if it's a largely black audience.
If it's in predominantly 60% black Atlanta.
Who let the dogs out?
Who?
You know what I mean?
But then also on top of that, the average person doesn't think about their SAT scores.
It is
I cannot remember what my actual
for him
SAT
to bring
score
it up
was.
at all.
Well, I had to ask you what a good one is because I took it twice. I don't
I was
remember.
like I knew I had a decent score, but not an amazing. I was like a national achievement scholar, which is like if you're like a minority and score decently well on the SAT. But I wasn't a national merit scholar, which is like you have to get like really close to like close to the max.
Everyone gets a trophy.
I can't fucking remember.
Do you think? I mean, I'm sure he's a shrewd enough mover shaker to like not explicitly. I'm sure if called on, it'd be like, oh, it's actually a large, relatively diverse audience, and I was doing so and so and whatever. But I think the thing that this stands out as to me is not quite in the same realm as the classic Mitt Romney, who let the dogs out, who.
He does give Mitt Romney.
But he's very Romney gore. And there is this speaks exactly what we were saying.
It's like Darth Mitt.
It's like he is saying, hey, I'm not like what you think I am. Yeah. I'm actually stupid. Well, it's like you guys.
He's like, look,
the average American is kind of dumb.
Yeah,
right?
look, I mean, I'm like you. We didn't have a Mercedes-Benz S-Class. We had a Dodge Charger.
It was a
and it's like,
completely
okay,
different car.
like a lot of I mean, that's a reasonably expensive car for most people still.
We had to lease our car.
So
you may think we're like up there, but we actually had to lease a $90,000
also, sometimes
car.
people just don't take the SAT.
I do think that it has worked in the past when presidents who are campaigning have been like, I'm just like you. It's like Clinton playing the saxophone and
just like me.
And George W. Bush being like,
playing the saxophone.
I'm just a country guy. And it's like, okay, well, your father was in the CIA and then he was president.
I'm just a country guy with 700 generations of wealth.
And so I do think it does, in a sense, work. I think even Trump did this, where he was like, "I'm just like you. I'm one of the guys. We could hang out."
He's one of the. Right-leaning populism is like always kind of the same statement, which is just you could actually get a beer with me, and it's this like mythical version of
that
a
was
president.
such a it's probably died at this point in society, but. What I could have a beer with him. It was such an institutional thing about the presidential race. It's in Hamilton.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Like I could have a beer with him. Like it was a whole thing. And during like George Bush, I feel like was like the last president where it was like I could have a beer with him. He was a C student. Actually, George Bush did the same thing.
Yeah.
He was like I was a C student, but it was like you were at like Yale.
Yeah, he went to fucking Yale
through your like dad's connections because he was fucking president.
And he was like a drunk. I don't think he was like doing that.
He was also addicted to coke.
Weirdo.
But
which is awesome.
It is really funny to be like, I'm like you. I'm a fucking moron. I can't it's so weird.
He's also
I don't
dyslexic, which kind of, if that's the message he's trying to put out, aren't those kind of two things a little incompatible? Like he's like, look, I'm just like you. I didn't do amazing, but you have a completely separate reason. You have.
Well, it's like, it's like, are you?
You're not talking to a room full of people with dyslexia.
Yeah.
Like, thanks to a very specific neurological condition, to most people, I almost look as stupid as you guys.
People might mistake me for someone of your intelligence.
But the truth is like this whole I could have a beer with him propaganda never accounts for the fact that he would never have a beer with you.
Yeah, he would never.
You could, but he would have.
He would choose not to.
Secret Service blow your fucking head off the moment that you're like, Modelo?
Yeah.
Few small beers?
We're going to go head over to Boyz Nightz where I'm going to probably talk a lot about Survivor. We're going to play Bandle. We're going to play all our daily games that we like to play. We like to play Bandle. We like to play And I'm going to remember it this time. I'm going to remember what it's called, and it's the ranking game. And I remember it. It's not called Uncharted. It's
Who farted?
It's not called Who Farted. It's not called Unranked. It's not called Distractable. That's a podcast I think that Markiplier's podcast.
Yes, sir.
I think I know. Do you want-
Disorderly.
Yes, sir.
I also might force you guys to listen to me rant about women's sports.
Oh, are you talking hockey?
Talking hockey.
Talking Kash Patel celebrating with the Olympic team.
Yeah.
Like he was on it.
Yeah.
Someone put the gold medal on him and he's like biting it like he fucking won the shit.
I mean, I like, people make fun of Kash Patel for his personality and his actions, but to be fair, he's very ugly. I like him or whatever.
He is giving like Gavin Newsom palette swap petite version.
Yes. he's the Charmander to his
He's
Charizard.
like the Charmander. He's the shiny Charmander. All right, well, we end every episode of Sad Boys with a particular phrase.
We love you.
And we're sorry.
Gucci girl, how you doing? How you moving, girl? Moving, girl. How's your day looking? That future girl, yeah, we on now. Take my money, go away, all you want it.
Girl, too rich for me.